Welcome to Zentangle Project Pack No.16 and the 12 Days of Zentangle. We are on day 7. My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria. And today we're going to work, well, after we appreciate these beautiful tiles and feel the love that it's there. And I love these. This is probably my favorite canvas is the Renaissance round tile. We have this great tool. We're pretty much going to use all the tools that came with the set.
We've got the O1,
and we're
the
going
two
to actually
pens.
use scissors. I didn't put the scissors out there. So if you have a pair of scissors, that would be great.
And the little mark on the two tortillons.
Yeah, one for the white white chalk pencil and the other one for the graphite. So traditional Cubine, which I love because it's got that boldness like Knightsbridge, I love adding it to different tiles when they seem too fragile. But then I thought, but then you need a grid. And sometimes I'm surprise appearance. Oh, what's that? He's just kind of...
Just getting his way.
Yeah, getting his way with us.
Coming in here.
Here he is. Yeah, there he is.
Checking it out.
Checking it out. Hi, Bish.
Yeah, so very three-dimensional. He felt safe enough to be up there on that, so that is true.
Anyway, so I like the idea of taking Cubine and taking it out of the grid. And so I came up with this concept of these fronds, like pieces of a plant. It's not really a leaf, but it's an elongated, like, what would you
Like
call
it's
it?
a component if you were to pull it apart.
Like palms, you know? And it goes together like muka. Like if you're familiar with muka, you can see that you could start with the center. You start with that center line, and then you add that kite shape, and then you just go from there. So this is crazy Cubine where it's going all over the place, which I just love. I just love the excitement of something like this.
Very Hollabaugh stuff going on.
And this is one of my favorite tiles because I love that traditional brown drawing down there. The kind of
coming out
contrasts with the other. I love that.
That little highlight on that's sweet.
So we're going to do some really, that's neat too. Yeah.
So just showing some different examples of where she's gone with this. And that, again, that background is her blotter on her desk.
Yeah. And this is a blossoming Cubine, so if you start in the middle and then just send out those one line, see that line that gets covered with a black square is the center line, and you start from there. And there are some escaping ones too. They just have their way. You can't help it. They just take off and go where they're.
There's always one.
There's always one, right? And I was always the one.
Until you met me.
That's true. That's true. I'm still here.
I love that one. Right? It's so dimensional.
Right. And that's actually kind of a cool one.
Right?
Yeah. It almost looks like it's folded, but it's not. It would probably have been a good folded one.
Right?
Darn. I should have done that. You can see it escaping in here.
And that debossing, which is very similar to what the tool is the watermark that is on the large sheets of the Fabriano paper.
Right.
Beautiful.
Oh, look at the little, what's that, shell in the middle?
Yeah.
So it started with a spiral, which is kind of cool. I guess I did quite a few of these.
Yeah. So these are just like a show and tell of different possibilities, and now we'll get down to business.
Okay, appreciating our paper and pens and things. And here's this great new tool, and we're just going to throw out an arc on here, and any arc will do, but from one side to the next, I mean, almost like a crescent moon shape a real crescent moon shape. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do before I do it, but you don't need to do that if you don't want to. Now I'm trying to press pretty hard here.
And you can go over it.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, make it comfortable for your hand.
You can see, look at me
Yeah.
struggling. Awesome. So this would be a great fold.
And then the paper just follows wherever that was when you fold it.
And this is going to be a simple structure, just something to add dimension to an already really cool piece,
Which is what this whole project is about.
Right,
dimension.
Right, dimension.
And you can use these materials if you have them. If you don't, you can work with anything around your house, and you'll get the idea of where we're going.
So I have some scissors, and I'm going to cut little diamond shapes. So we're actually cutting triangles, but when we open it, it'll be a diamond shape.
Right, you're cutting across the fold.
Right. And you want to hang on to your scissors so that they don't accidentally go too far. You don't want these to be too big.
And you don't do that many. I think you just
three.
did three.
Three, yeah. And you can see they're not evenly spaced. I'm not a big evenly spaced person. So kind of goes against my grain.
And they're a little different sizes and everything.
I like that.
And it all works.
Okay, so now we're going to get flat again. That already looks cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got that nice light and dark.
I'm going to accentuate that so that you can see the score, my score, so that you won't have any problem trying to figure out what I'm doing. So you don't need to do that to yours.
You don't need to do that, right.
So I'm going to aura, of course, with my Micron 01 black, and we're going to go right to the right of the score and those cutouts. Taking your time.
So Maria's working on the smaller moon size on this one.
Right.
Nice relaxed grip. Remember to breathe. Turn your tile. All those simple things, and sometimes it applies to our experience in life. Relax your hand, relax your grip, turn your tile.
So turn your tile to do the same thing. When you come to the holes there, just go around them. Probably guessing where we're going to go with this, right? Adding a little love. I do this all the time as I'm going around. I see something, and I usually do it right away because I'm afraid I'm going to forget,
Mm-hmm. Those look suspiciously like cubine tops.
Really? I can't wait to see the explosion of crazy cubine on the app.
Right.
See what people do with it. Okay, so we got our auras there. So I put a dot down here. You don't really have to, but it'll be your starting point. Now we want to go from that dot to the middle. And then beyond.
So those diamond shapes, that's brilliant. Form the bottom of the cubine.
Right.
I love it.
So you're going up. That first line can be as curly or whatever. as long as you can aura it after it's.
And just bring it back to, right?
So this looks a little bit different than Cubine, because in this case where we have these cutouts, the cutouts were done first.
Mm-hmm.
But ordinarily, when we start doing Cubine, besides for this one, you will start with the line and then put down that kite shape. Here we're going to go in a hollowbar manner. We're going to go behind, just to add some interest and to challenge you, always make you think. And we're going to go to the corners of those openings, and then come down and tether it to the bottom.
And that lovely landing, you see how when she meets that, she comes into it and then just continues to go along that line.
So this next step is we're going to kind of insert a few borders before we put in some of the other Cubine fronds, so that it will give the border some dimensionality as well. So it's not going to always be behind everything. It'll be behind some.
So this is how you can create that interweavingness of doing one thing in one direction and then something in the other direction, always drawing behind.
Right.
Turning the tile and keeping the pen stroke sort of according to the rhythm of your hand.
So these fronds now are going to go behind that border. Here comes the kite. And then the box. It's just going to be that line's going to be parallel to the other one, and again parallel to this one, to a certain, just approximately, just so you can get that shape right.
And then this compares to the part that was cut out in the others. And just enjoy the coloring in process too.
I do my coloring in all different ways, and sometimes I'm consistent, sometimes I'm not, So now we're going to join the corners there down to the bottom.
And sometimes she starts at one end, and sometimes you start at the other end.
So it makes sense to me.
Right?
So we're going to go behind this frond, and then behind the border, kite, and the kite is going to go behind that line a little bit.
And again, parallel to the larger square, or the larger diamond. Color that in.
Now, bring the corner down, behind, and then we're going to meet it at the bottom.
So this appears to be one plant,
Yes,
right?
Yes, from one seed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of those seeds you put in the last day. So here we come up. Oh, that one's just a sprite.
Yeah, it's just getting started. Or sprout. Or sprite.
Sprout.
Oh, that's what they're called. These are, instead of sprouts, they're sprites. Maybe. It's a new technical term for Cubine. I like the mix of straight and curvy, too, because it introduces a curviness to a very structured tangle.
But isn't that fun to take it out of the grid and see how it can grow?
Well, it makes you consider looking at other grid tangles and how that might apply to them as well. And you see how Maria actually drew behind, so you can have a feel of where it's coming out. The hovering of the pen really helps. It helps me a lot to know where to start it on the other side. So a slightly larger aura there.
Again, I'm big on auras and multiple auras because I love the complexity and simplicity at the same time. The simplicity of construction and the complexity of vision.
And how much of nature auras, right?
Oh, it looks like I'm going to do another one.
Well, it's other layers too. Right?
And you may, however your balance is of your composition, you may decide to add some here and there that I hadn't thought of. I'm always willing to see what else can be done.
Right.
The one I have going on here, I think it looks like I'm doing one more.
You got to really keep track there.
They can be different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Art Deco effect that this pattern has taken on because it didn't have that in the grid, but now it is more contemporary. It has a kind of a fun look to it. So I'm adding a little detail so that they match more with those cut ones.
Again, the aura-ing just really is just adds so much.
Right.
And you can sculpt it as you're going, change that little inner part.
So I'm adding some perfs inside here, just carefully. And what I did is I went to the widest part of the space and started with the biggest circle or perf. And then I went from, up from there and then down from there. And it's a great exercise. If you start where the big one is, then the rest of them will fall into place. It works every time.
And you'll notice in these, they're right next to each other and the lines overlap the bounding lines.
So I'm just going in and adding some little auras in those interstices just for detail. I didn't want it to compete so much with the black of the squares.
And it further delineates it from the stock of the cubine, too.
Right. Just a little different. So go to the middle and then go out. Go to the widest space.
And you can see why we call these orbs, because none of those are real perfect circles. And it's just that sense of orbness being squished in there.
In this one here, I didn't want that big orb, so I've been just going to put a bunch of small ones. And feel free to organize those however you like. I'm just sort of rambling whatever fits wherever.
And just remember that your pen has all the different sizes.
Right.
I like that effect. So in those large aurid shapes,
it looks like
Shattuck.
Shattuck with a curved line.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that's what I do. I do curved lines.
Right.
Even my straight lines are slightly curvy.
But you can see you turn it one way, and then aura, turn it the other way from where the end of that one. So starting where that one ended, a curve, and then aura that back.
Right.
And just rinse and repeat.
Again, this was one of our really early tangles, And it has sort of an Asian influence. I think we saw it on a kimono or something.
Yes, exactly.
It's beautiful.
And it has a really nice effect, and you can shade it in different ways. Like that really has that over and under opportunity in larger areas.
Mm-hmm.
And very simple, but a great effect.
Mm.
So we've got that one, aura, or band, and
the next one I thought needed some drama in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a series of really fat stripes. It could be elongated Knightsbridge, but however you want to call it, it's like making just a striping of sorts, right?
And you can see the benefit of that narrow aura between the perf and between the shattuck. It really sets it off very nicely.
It's coming along.
Very much.
So I have my
PN?
yeah, and I'm going pretty heavy right at the base of that, or at the top of the striping. I wanted to get a bolder line, and with the PN, you can press pretty hard and get a wider line, blacker.
It really makes a difference.
Makes a difference, right? So with the silver jelly roll, I'm going to do the top left shape, that
facet or side or inner side. Yeah.
So when you look at the cubine, the top left and the bottom right, that's how the shading's going to go. It's sort of a form of shading, but we're going to do it with the silver pen.
Right, and you don't usually notice the bottom right when in traditional cubine.
Right.
Nice.
So the top left. And I like to shade with the idea of pattern as opposed to worrying about light source. So if you see that when this is all done, it makes sense as a pattern. That's what Zentangle is. Zentangle is a pattern. And it almost makes sense to your mind when you're looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually doesn't make sense if you have one light source, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
Which I love that. I love that your mind can fill it in.
Right. It's the whole idea of light and dark as pattern.
So when we call it adding shades of gray, as opposed to shading most of the time, because of that point, right? So I'm adding a weird little thing here. It's a pretty heavy graphite aura, just to kind of play around with this empty space down here. I didn't want to put any tangles down there. I wanted the composition to stand on its own. So a pretty heavy line, and then we're going to take our tortillon and buff it down.
I love this effect that this does. Because it will look almost like you would cut that larger piece out of a separate piece of paper and then just put it on top of it.
Right, right. Or it might even look like another fold. It just has a different look to it.
And see how low an angle. Maria's really using just the whole side of that tortillon. And look, you can really bring that out far.
And what I'm doing is I'm adding another color to the tile. By doing that, and what I'm going to do next, it brings two more colors into the mix. So we're going to add this magic General's white chalk pencil in the whole background, And it's going to, we're going to buff it in just lightly because we want to hold on to that white. And it's going to say, wow, what kind of tile were you working on, right? Look at that. Isn't that fun?
Great. That is nice. So again, with the generals.
We're just going to put a line through these stripes, these borders.
Right? All of a sudden it becomes round and glossy, right?
How easy is that? How simple. Look at that. Pops right off the paper. I'm going to go and add a little bit of graphite, where we put that heavier line, but just make sure that it's just at the top there because we want to hang on to the differences. We want to just have that shading at the top of that line. And see there? And this is the magic one to me.
Already the dimensionality of the behind is so obvious.
Towards the bottom, we're just going to add that a little bit of a line. Look at that. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. It really is nice.
Right?
It's so simple.
Simple is our middle name. Here we're going to add some light here in those perfs.
And it looks like you're sort of doing one side more than the other, or no, maybe you're just doing the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah,
like they're pearls stuck in there.
Right. It was just enough to show some highlight.
Right.
And difference in texture. Right, and you did some differently than others. I like that. Of course, the tortillon. And I like to think of inviting the graphite into the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how each little simple moment here, each stroke, each bit adds to this. Of course, they all come down together at that point.
So is it a plant? Is it a growth? What is it? It looks like a growth at a construction site.
Right. Right, like instead of rusting, it started growing.
Yeah.
I like
How
that.
fun is that? I love this piece. It was a surprise to me how much I liked doing it, because usually these straight lines. Oh, no more straight lines.
Well, I like how the silver catches the light, and then the other part is the shadow. Of course, remember to put your chop on. On some of these we didn't, but this is a great one to, and it's a great space to put it too.
Well, I really had fun. I hope you guys have as much fun doing it as I did.
Yeah, this is it's a wonderful thing to find a new dimension to very familiar things, and I think that's always an opportunity in all aspects of our experience.
Sign and maybe date on the back. Oh, I loved this piece. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And a little bit of dimension, unexpected.
Came out really good.
Well, I hope you have. Oh, I'm adding a little bit of love. I just can't help it, especially with the silver pen. Sometimes you want to go over your black lines and delineate certain aspects. Don't be afraid to do that.
And I wanted you all to see this because Maria so often does this, and it really, you wouldn't notice it except when you see the before and after. Those lovely caring touches.
Ta-da, ta-da.
So thank you so much for playing with us. This was great. And we will see you tomorrow on day 8.
I'm looking forward to seeing all your works. Thank
Yes.
you. Bye.
Bye now.